Hello everybody, and welcome back to more Yu-Gi-Oh! Dynasty Series deck profiles. It's me, Cooper, and I'm here to reveal another person that will be in the Duelist Kingdom Dynasty Series. It is Weevil Underwood. Weevil Underwood is a champion in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Show. He was able to beat Rex Raptor. I believe it was Intercontinental. I can't remember what they call him, but he's a form of champion in the show. And he loves to use an insect-style deck. So Weevil Underwood, his ace monster, the strongest card in his deck, and one of the strongest cards in the game at this time period, is his Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth. Now, this Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth rocks a 3,500 attack stat. That means it can even overcome the almighty Blue Eyes White Dragon that our buddy Kaiba uses. But there's a big problem with the Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth. It takes 6 turns, or 12 when you really think about it, to summon it. And not only that, you have to have setup, so 14 turns to summon it. It's one of the hardest cards to summon in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Game. So, we're going to be taking a look at some other cards in his deck before we get over to that section. So, the rare cards in his deck, as a joke, are Gokibore and, of course, Maneater Bug. That's just a little joke from the show, don't worry, nothing else. Maneater Bug is probably his best rare card that I think he has in his deck. Now, what it does, it has a flip effect that destroys one monster on the field. Very, very few people in this tournament have a card that can simply blow up a monster when you need it to. So Maneater Bug gives Weevil an actual edge against some of the higher power people in this tournament. And I think it'll be a super good card for his deck. Gokibore was more of a joke. Sorry that I even put it there. It's gonna stay there though, because you know that's how it is. The other rare card I would say in his deck that I think is very good is a card we're gonna get into later, the Cocoon of Evolution. Yes, the Cocoon of Evolution is really a really rare card that only works for Weevil's deck that has pretty damn good stats in Duelist Kingdom. So, looking at Weevil's stats, Weevil's attack stat is actually not very good. Now, the reason I've done this, it's like, but Cooper, you were just saying he's got the Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth, and I have even mentioned it, but he also just has the straight up Great Moth if he can't make it to Perfect. If you can't make it to Perfect, you could just special summon the Great Moth instead, and the Great Moth has 2,600 attack. That is correct. It could take down a Dark Magician if it had to. In fact, it beats most of the cards in this entire tournament as well. So, why did I make his attack stat so small? Well, because the attack stat is measured by average attack out of all of their cards. And Weevil's average attack is awful. Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth and Great Moth are kind of, you know, it's kind of cheating. His attack stat should actually be at 1. Because he has some of the worst monsters like Petite Moth, Basic Insect, Killer Needle, Gokibore, the rare card right there, only has 1,200 attack, Big Insect, which only has 1,200 attack, and his tribute monster, the Hercules Beetle, at 1,500 attack. I am not joking. His tribute monster, he does not have many of those, if any of those, other than this, has 1,500 attack. It's a joke. Most people's regular monsters can overcome that. It's so sad. So his attack stat is a cheat. It is cheating. It should be a 1. But instead I gave him a 3 because Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth and Great Moth are in his deck, and I did do this by averages. So let's get out of the attack stat. There's no point in going into it. Let's go into the defense stat, and this is where Weevil shines. Almost all of his monsters are rocking a 1,500 and up defense stat, other than the real baby ones like Petite Moth and Basic Insect. Maneater Bug's tactical and can count as a defense card since it blows up the opponent's monster. In fact, I give him extra bonus points for having a Maneater Bug. So, Maneater Bug is going to be super, super helpful in his deck. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention about his attack stat and why he gets it, he actually does run Insect Armor with Laser Cannon, an equipped spell that gives his insects 700 attack. So even though he has a very low attack stat on most of his insects, a 700 attack point buff is incredibly large in this series. Very, very few people have equipped cards that get you 700 attack. So I'm just going to say that right now. Having a 700 attack equip spell makes you special. He's special. He has a good equip spell. That will help his attack stat as well. That's why it's not a 1. But going back to the defense stat, Gokibore has 14, Big Insect has 15, Kamiko, it's a weird card, has 14, his Hercules Beetle Tribute Monster has 2,000, and of course, the rare card I was talking about earlier, the Cocoon of Evolution, a 3-star effect monster used to equip to Petite Moth to give a Petite Moth 0 attack, but 2,000 defense. Cocoon of Evolution by itself has 2,000 defense, and when equipped to Petite Moth, gives Petite Moth 2,000 defense. It's actually an incredible defense monster. Not everybody in the game has defense monsters like this. We just went over Kaiba's stuff. Kaiba doesn't even have good defense monsters in general. He has like Mystic Horseman, whereas Weevil can rock a 2,000 defense, which would hold back Lejin all day. And he needs it to hold him back all day because Weevil needs that Cocoon of Evolution to survive while equipped to Petite Moth to get perfectly Ultimate Great Moth for 6 turns, or Great Moth 4 turns, which is an extremely long amount of time. So Weevil's deck is not very varied, if that makes sense to you guys. All it is a bunch of defense monsters. That's his whole deck. A bunch of weak monsters and defense monsters that get him his 2 big monsters. Hercules Beetle at 1,500 attack with his equipped spells would actually be pretty good, since that's 2,200 with the equipped spells and he has more than one. So that's not bad. But overall, not very good. I'm going to have to go into Weevil's speed stat now. Weevil, in this entire tournament, has the worst speed stat ever. If you use Weevil's deck, you have no real potential for special summons other than Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth and Great Moth. And those cards require 4 and 6 turns to be summoned, which is super long. So if you get Weevil's deck, winning duels is going to take you a long time. The only reason his speed stat isn't 0 is because he has those equipped spells that can make his monsters not suck ass. So Weevil, I actually do like you in the show. I've used your Battle City deck for fun against my friends, but when it comes to Duelist Kingdom, I kind of just leave you in the past. So Weevil, I wish you luck when it comes to the tournament. I wish any one of my friends that gets Weevil, I wish them luck when it comes to the tournament, because his speed stat is horrifying. Any person that duels Weevil is going to have to take a long time to win the duel and a long time to lose the duel because they have so many defense monsters. But that's where we can get into Weevil's better stat. The brick stat for Weevil is... he rarely bricks. It almost is not even a concept for him. Weevil's deck has way too many normal monsters that he could just summon no problem. He usually will have a monster that can pop, Manny or Bug to pop someone else. He usually can keep a monster on the field since he's such a defensive guy. He will always have the card he needs. He will not top deck a card that's like, oh crap, I can't use this. Most of the cards he top decks he can use other than Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth and Great Moth. And I guess Hercules Beetles, but honestly, if you just count those 4 cards, it's super hard for 4 cards to brick you unless you draw all 4 of them on the first hand. Which, what are the odds of that? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So that's why I put rarely bricks for Weevil. His deck is not really going to brick. It can very rarely brick. Very rarely. But overall, if you get Weevil, you don't have to worry about, oh crap, I needed to draw a 2,000 defense point monster, but I drew Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth. Oh crap, I needed to draw a tribute monster, and instead I drew a Petite Moth. That's more his problem. But even in the end, he's probably not going to brick ever. The person that gets Weevil out of my friend group, if they're unlucky enough to get him, probably will never have to worry about bricking. But that's where we got to get to his potential now. So Weevil's potential, guys, of winning this entire tournament is a 1-star. I don't believe he can win this tournament. I honestly, if any of my friends get Weevil Underwood, they will have to be playing out of their minds to make it happen. They will have to play so defensively, or they have to draw one of their better monsters like, no shit, Gokibore with 1,200 attack and draw 3 equipped spells to just buff it up. Other than that, the Maneater Bugs will protect him, but that's probably where he got that 1-star from. The only reason I gave him that 1-star is probably because of Maneater Bug. Weevil Underwood, a good duelist in the show, a cheater, because, you know, he tells people, hey, I only fight you on these fields, and, God, even worse, he throws people's decks away, or cards away, but no. No, this guy's not winning the tournament. Any one of my friends that gets this character, you're not winning the tournament. And if I get this character, at least I like Weevil. I will do my best to win the tournament with this character. but it's not happening. That's a 1-star rating. If you disagree with me in chat, go right ahead, but I'm right. I'm sorry. The tournament's going to come up eventually. It's not happened yet, but when the tournament happens, whoever gets Weevil, you're screwed. Thank you all for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. Sorry if I talk shit on your favorite character, guys. I know. I like Man-Eater Bug. I like Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth too. But Weevil's not winning this tournament.